The triple! That kid's got a lot of get up and go. Dante Robinson steps up.
Come on, man.
Hello there, Frogman, better known as Ryan, and I just poked out of the rock that I live under, and I realized everybody's latest obsession is the Breath of the Wild game that just came out. And I've been diagnosed with a very real illness known as behind-the-time-itis. It prevents me from owning any current consoles or playing something that's in the public eye. Like I said, very real. So until I get cured, I need something to do. It reminds me of way back then when we had this really old computer we used to play a wide variety of games on. One of my favorites was this Backyard Baseball, and I would review that, but everybody knows you can't review a game that's based in your childhood.
This just in, studies show that can happen.
Backyard Baseball is a game released in 1997, made by Humongous Entertainment. It was made by a relatively small team to make a sports game that differentiates between the 2K or EA sports games, which primarily focused on quote-unquote realism. Editor's note, this is not the reason they made these games. It's just a way to differentiate them from others. The difference you can expect in this game is a focus on the characters and the simple joy of playing baseball with other kids. And a lot of that heart is seen in its dynamic intro, showing off the follies of having kids be the players, while also upping the pure excitement of playing baseball. I just love this intro. Sure, there's nostalgia blindness with that, but I'm sure that many will agree nothing gets you in the spirit better than this intro right here. Starting the game off, you're placed in the main menu, posing as a treehouse hangout spot. A very familiar and comforting location, even if you've never experienced a tree clubhouse before. Something about the snaps and bass in the music and the really chill feeling makes it feel so welcoming and reminiscent of a baseball as a whole. The binoculars and window cleverly takes you to the stadium choice menu, as if you're scoping out where to go to the next game. You can either play ball and skip all the rigmarole and get a randomly selected team, or you can experience the full game by creating your own team. It's a little misleading to have the team selection be hidden in the create team option, and the play ball is positioned in such a way that it seems like the natural way forward, with create a team feeling like the secondary option. Regardless, create a team allows you to pick from an assortment of names and icons to make your own team. I always loved this, being able to mix and match all the stuff and having it make no sense, like naming your team the Blue Giants and making your team color green. Yeah, I know, I was the kid your mom warned you about. Pick your colors and you're taken to the bench in front of the litany of characters ready to be chosen, but first need to know who picks first. Instead of having a coin flip or something boring like that, the theme of this game is reinforced by having two pairs of hands knob up to decide who goes first. I like this. Now that you've decided who goes first, it's time to pick the roster, and oh man, this is a great collection of kids. This group as a whole makes up one of the most diverse and wickedly iconic rosters in all of gaming. It's been stated how the designers of this game wanted there to be a character for every type of kid to look up to, finding inspiration in any size or shape that's available. Even going so far as to feature Kenny Kawaguchi, a wheelchair-ridden kid who still plays like the rest of them. Now, there are a lot of characters here, and because of that, they are inherently tropey, one-note caricatures of themselves. It's not bad, you can only do so much when having a character-based sports game, but this game takes it as far as it ever had gone. Distinct designs, individual nicknames, descriptions of the characters, even each kid having their own theme music for various purposes. Every kid here is special and notable in some way, and it's astounding how they can all be so unique in their own different ways. Choosing your team members is a simple matter of picking one after the other until you're done, and I swear this game is hard-coded to pick the other Weber sister when you do. Oh. Well, it certainly felt that way as a kid. You may be wondering why one would get so worked up about having the second part of a pair of blonde twins in a children's baseball game, but as their bio hints at, they actually do become better when they play on the same team. This is something that is present in other characters, namely the brother duo of Achmed and Achmed Kahn, but the specifics beyond that escape me. There's no easy way to tell if there are more synergies like this, or exactly how much better a character is when they get the teammate they want, but I suppose there is a little bit of charm and excitement that could be gained from that. You never know who might make who into a superstar, so you try to put other kids together on a team to see who benefits who. After you've chosen your team and arranged them in the field in batting order, it's finally time for the game.
Hello, all you baseball maniacs. Yes!
Adding to the experience of the game, you've got the two commentators of Sunny Day and Vinny the Gooch.
Really?
Yes.
Okay then.
These two are my favorites. Sunny Day is always so lively and excited to call each game. You can feel her excitement every time a major event happens. Add on to that the exceptional color commentary of Vinny with his heightened up too cool for school attitude that contrasts very nicely with Sunny's enthusiasm.
Together, we'll bring you every bit of the action. What she means is, she's never gonna stop yapping. It's my job, Vinny.
Now that we're introduced to the setting, it's time for some baseball action. We're the away team, so we bat first. And as is this game's style, every character has their own animations for walking up to the plate, accompanied by their own theme. I love it. Stephanie walks up with her baseball gear, accompanying theme, all ready to go. Pete stepping up to the wrong side and correcting themselves. The personality of the characters are shown through every single aspect of the game, and it's so much fun. For real now, the game. To bat, you select what type of hit you want to perform, power, line drive, grounder, or bunt. In my experience, there's never been a moment where I thought to myself, oh yes, a ground ball would really be beneficial for me here. Mainly because if a character can survive a ground ball, they're usually better off bunting and running to go to first to guarantee a person on base. Which brings me to the player stats and how wildly inconsistent things can be with just a 4-star stat system. It leaves an unclear margin of difference with the ones with similar stats and a baffling difference between those with different stats. Take for instance Pablo Sanchez and Pete Wheeler. They both have a 4-star stat in running, but Pete is far and away faster than everybody on the roster. And alternatively, those with poor running stats can blast a ball into the outfield and still get picked off at first. There's a large gap in power when it comes to who's helpful in the game, because when you do have all those slow characters, it might not even be worth getting them on base as they hold up faster characters and rob you of opportunities to act. And that's not even getting into the more ambiguous skills like fielding and hitting. Call me whatever you want, but neither of these stats seem to amount to much in game. Hitting just seems to increase the chance of a hit going over the fence, but with good timing and an understanding of the character's swing, you can make solid contact with anyone regardless of stats. When the pitch comes at you, you've got some time to decide whether it will be a ball or strike, and you've got to click on the point where the ball lands to try and hit it. Now, you'd be forgiven if you think trying to hit this ball is a little bit hard, because it is. To alleviate this problem, this game starts with a shadow circle that indicates where the ball could possibly land. It's nice, but the ball doesn't exactly feel good to follow in 3D space. It's just a sprite coming at you, and it's kind of hard for me to judge personally. Maybe it's my own ignorance or inability to see, but judging where the ball is going to go and clicking the very specific point seems like a rather big ask in this game. Call me a loser, I don't care. I just turned on the setting to place an X where the ball would go and had an easy time judging pitches. Even with that, I found that certain ball placements were very hard to hit. The animation has only so many places where the bat can hit the ball. I found it almost impossible to hit any balls that were thrown on the inside. I'm not saying it is impossible, but my feeble brain was not getting the hang of it. When you do land a hit, the game transitions to overhead to see what's happening. You as the runner can't do much and are left at the mercy of whether the fielding team can tag you out at first, but you can click the path your runner's on, and if they are running in the direction the arrow is pointing, they will start sprinting, going faster than their normal speed. Now, you might think this is a way for slower players to have a way to play with the big hitters, but doing this drops their stamina and drops their speed immensely if this is done without care. Sure, doing it can net you some easy bases, but soon enough, your star runner will just be as slow as all the others, and as we've established, being slow is the worst. You don't even get to see the stamina above the runner, so it's impossible to tell whether they're going to crash or not. Other than that, everything is straightforward. Click a base path to send a runner, click behind them to send it back, avoid getting tagged or forced out, run around the bases, and you score a point. And if you're feeling edgy, you can also click the character's hat on base to allow them to steal a base. It's a little limited as the steal only initiates when the pitch is completed. There's no jumping the pitch, so it will only really work with players who are fast enough to pull it off. Once you get 3 outs, you change sides and it's time to learn how to pitch. Pick your pitch, click in the strike zone, and your character will throw a ball within the shadow circle seen before the throw. It's very simple to get a handle on, and if you got a good pitcher, you can pretty much control where the ball will generally go. That is, if they are not low on stamina, which is now represented by a juice bar on the side. Having lower stamina means the circle grows wider for every pitch, making it harder to place where you want and sometimes missing the strike zone entirely. And when you're zoomed out for fielding, all you need to do is click on the spot and the active player will run towards that spot. And if you're catching a pop fly, a circle will appear and turn red if you are under the ball. The sprites in the 3D space makes perspective a bit challenging in some places and can lead to some interesting quirks of object detection in this game. But for the most part, it's very easy to get a hold of and understand. It's nice and simple for the macro events that take place in baseball, like throwing to bases and running to a location. That's all pretty simple. But say you want to tag a runner or have the character run to a base, it becomes a crapshoot whether the player will do what you want or wait for another character to reach there and then throw it. Plus, the fielding stats never made an impact in any of my games. I'd have a team chock full of people with good fielding, and whenever they tried to throw a ball to Pablo, my first baseman, they'd always overshoot him and I'd lose the ball. Maybe it's because he's short, but I feel like for a 4-star in fielding, he certainly had a lot of problems come his way. Despite my own problems, this makes up the large part of the game. Rules are simple to learn because it's just baseball, and if you don't know the rules of baseball going into a baseball game, 1, I'd question your life choices and commitments, and 2, it's rather easy to learn just by playing through it. Now that you know the basics of the game and can make the leap of logic that a 4-year-old is capable of throwing left hook curveballs, let's take another leap and talk about abilities. Every time you strike someone out, the pitcher gains access to a random ability. These super pitches range from the laughably useless ones like the crazy ball to the OP big freeze that basically just says "F you, I'm taking a strike now." As crazy as these pitches can get, their limiting factor is the insane stamina drain upon using them, the wide circle that a lot of them have, and the fact that if a hitter scores a base by hitting a super pitch, they in turn receive an ability of their own. In my opinion, the way to get super abilities for batting is a little steep, considering you need to get an entire base hit off of pitches that are rather unfair even with the pitch locator on. That being said, the abilities for each of the swings are absolutely brutal, almost guaranteeing a base or two just by making contact. Aluminum Power sends the ball to the moon and more often than not guarantees a home run. Screaming Line Drive sends the ball directly to the fence and can send it over with some good contact. The Undergrounder burrows the ball into the ground and in every case I've used it creates a ground rule double. And the Crazy Bunt that laughs and whoops at the opposing team, refusing to be picked up until it reaches the outfield. It really is a double-edged sword when dealing with any of them. You could purposely strike out with a bad hitter / runner and force the pitcher to get a super, and then it's up to you whether you get a base hit off of that super. Maybe an upcoming character is very capable of bunting off a base. After that, you've got some ridiculously powerful tools to get some free runs off of. Just make sure you hit your mark, because missing with any of these swings means you've missed your chance, and nothing's more shameful than that when you've basically got the aimbot for baseball on. Now, I've talked to the basic gameplay. What else does this game have? Well, we can watch the intro again. Yeah, there's not much to expand on besides the basic gameplay. There is a season mode that allows you to be the coach of your own dream team. You get your choice of all the kids and can fashion them however you want. Pardon my spelling on Frogman, I had a long day. It's nothing more than playing a continuous stream of 7 randomly generated teams going up against yours in a season of baseball. You play the games and nothing is really different. You do play on this field with a giant TV screen, but it's the only field that you'll play on until the playoffs roll around. Maybe if you could see some information on the other teams or if something changed, it would be interesting, but no. It's just the same game played against the same bland batch of same-ish looking characters. I get that this game is dense enough for 1997 standards, but to go through with this whole season is just a waste of time, and anybody who does complete it either has a problem or no sense of what is important in life. So I did that. It's just an anticlimax all around. The World Series Stadium doesn't even change the background for Sunny Day and Vinny. That's a little sad, honestly. And you don't even unlock the stadiums if you beat this mode. Like, come on! The World Series Stadium looks awesome! You mean to tell me I can only play it when I'm facing the Minty Pickles? There's no reason to do this mode. It's just the same game, but the teams you face are devoid of personality, and you don't really get much out of winning. I really should have stopped somebody before they printed that. During the credits, it tells you can unlock Mr. Clanky as an unlockable character, but if you know that beforehand, you can do it whenever. It's not that interesting either. His stats are average, his bio is fodder for an ARG, and he looks like he belongs in some found media creepypasta.
Overall, Backyard baseball is a cornerstone of my own childhood that I just cannot hate. Sure, there are balance issues in terms of hitting and pitching, in adding the super abilities just adds a whole new wrench to the dynamic that makes things a huge mess. That and the sprites in 3D space makes things a little bit hard to read at times. But I just love this game to death. The characters are so iconic, and Pablo Sanchez even took on a life of its own outside of the Backyard Sports series. I think this game is really important in the realm of sports games. All they really have to offer is just a long and boring tedious grind that never changes, only ever offering the likeness of pro players. And it may be a small thing, but I'm really glad that Backyard Baseball emphasized the original characters, helping it stand out amongst other games at the time. Alright, what the f*** is this?